Hello and welcome to the Comics Atlas. This is the series where we talk about the complete history of comic book characters. We start a whole new week of comics action with the Amazing Spider-Man. What adventures wait for the red costume one and his colorful cast? Hop on and let's find out. Issue 22 is the return of a known entity. It's the Circus of Crime. Is it even worthy to follow through with this one though? Okay, Peter Parker reconciles with Betty and then he fights. You know what happens next. Let me just tell you the names of these guys. The Crafty Clown, the Great Gambonos, Cannonball, Princess Python, and the Ringmaster. Let's hope we never see them again. Back on the actual stories, it's the Goblin and the gangsters. The Flying Man visits Lucky Lobo, a local mobster, to negotiate his takeover. No agreement is reached and the Goblin pledges to return again to finish the job. The next morning, Peter visits the Bugle and sees Frederick Foswell, aka the Big Man from Pastishu, being hired back again by humble Jonah Jameson. It's a big day for the Bugle when an anonymous tip from the Green Goblin leads them and the police to the hideout place of Lobo's gang. The villain watches as the raids occur but turns his attention to a meddling Spider-Man. They do battle once again and this battle still proves inconclusive when Peter runs out of web fluid. The Goblin overshoots his target when he learns that the whole gang he was trying to control got arrested in those raids. In the end, Parker escapes unscathed, but suspects Foswell may be up to his secret identity. We take a short break, but we return with the promise that Spider-Man has gone mad. We open normal enough, being reminded that Peter and Aunt May don't have money to spare. The teenager decides to go web swinging to fight some crime and snap pictures for the Bugle. He stops a robbery, but Foswell appears out of nowhere and ruins his photos. The former big man then goes to the Bugle and inspires Jonah to not only use his opinion to trash Spider-Man in his newspaper, but also that of other people. He sends reporters to the streets of New York City where hordes of concerned citizens speak ill of the wall crawler. This leads to one Dr. Ludwig Reinhardt, a European psychiatrist, penning an editorial about the mental state of Spider-Man on the pages of the Daily Bugle. Peter responds by tracking the Doctor to explain his side of the story. While he's on the hunt, many of his past rivals attack Webhead. First is Dr. Octopus, then it's the Sandman, and later the Vulture. Being unable to hear them or catch them, he gets scared and goes back again to look for the psychiatrist, but now it's for actual help. Spider-Man reaches the house of Reinhardt, but everything is upside down. At this point, Parker thinks he's hallucinating. He once again starts seeing his enemies, but now the Doctor's present for treatment. His psychotherapy almost leads to the hero revealing his identity, but it's not to be. Meanwhile, thanks to Foswell, Jameson learns the Doctor is a fraud and pays him a visit while Spider-Man is in the house. He asks for an explanation and Webhead sprawls into action, realizing it was a trap all along. Dr. Ludwig in reality was Mysteryo. He had been using his skills to project images and sounds of Parker's past villains to frighten him and later be his comfort as the funny Doctor. Peter is able to return to his normal life and figures it's okay to see Liz Allen on his own, since Betty Brant has been exchanging letters with Ned Leeds throughout the past issues. Let's just take a moment to appreciate Jonah Jameson in his full glory on the cover of our next tale. It seems he's going to be pretty active. Anyway, it's work time for our protagonist when he sees a bunch of thieves on the street. Rather than stop them, he uses his sign to attract the police and take some pictures for Jonah. Now in the Bugle, Peter uses his smart talk to sell the pictures despite not having Spider-Man in them. Just in time, another man appears on the scene. Dr. Smite presents himself and his machine to catch Spider-Man. Feeling extra lucky, now Peter wants to keep the gag going for Jonah. He convinces his money cow to spend some money on the machine, thinking it's a scam and an easy way for he himself to make some easy money later. Smite demonstrates his machine on Parker, thinking he's a random subject. The invention turns out to be pretty effective and its steel coils withstand Peter's spider strength. He's let go, why would Jonah think he's Webhead? But now he knows he put himself in danger for no reason. While at school, Jameson and Smite send a remote control robot to track their hated rival. Peter knows it's a matter of time till his date with the Thing, but it's nonetheless surprised when the time comes. The robot projects Jonah's face for crying out loud. They battle through the roofs and streets with Jonah taking the upper hand. There's a subplot of Flash wandering around in the fight, but meh. We get a look at Liz and Betty meeting Mary Jane Watson when they go looking for Peter, still no face revealed though. Now Spider-Man is trapped by the robot and Jameson seems to be having the time of his life. But the publisher doesn't count on the hero knowing about electronics. He opens the robot's panel to free himself. When the creator and user of the machine come to the roof where they left a trap Parker in, they only find an empty suit, much to their dismay. But hold on, it's not everything for the hero, and May just happened to find his spare costume. Peter talks his way out of suspicion, but now he has no suit, and we all know crime won't wait for him. This week we had a nice solid bunch of issues to cover barring the circus people. It's always nice to have a good old Spidey Goblin fight, but with the criminals and whatnot it dilutes their rivalry just a little bit. Regarding Mysteryo, this tale should be the template for most of the interesting escapades of the villain. Of course, he's no match for Spider-Man's raw strength and ability. It always comes down to his use of smoke and mirrors and psychological diminishing of his rival to get advantage. In that regard, I like the story. Smite and the Spider Slayer have a humble origin and still have a lot of work to do to actually threaten Peter. What I liked the most was Spider-Man himself talking his way into trouble in the beginning and talking his way out of it at the end. I dig a smooth talker Parker. I feel we got a little bit too much Flash Thompson for my liking, but he hasn't gotten in my nerves too much, so I'll allow it. Nothing bad, nothing great. I hope we get something with a bit more punch next time. Anyway guys, that's it for today. Don't forget to leave your like, share and subscribe down below. You can also check out my other playlist on heroes such as Thor and Daredevil. This is the Comics Atlas and I wish you all a nice existence.